Welcome to Aethair Talks, where we explore the intersection of technology, policy, and the air we breathe. I am Vasilios Nasis. In each episode, we dive into insights, innovation, and ideas that are shaping the future of environmental intelligence. From air quality and data to regulation and real-world impact. This is where meaningful conversations begin. Today, I'm joined by Toby Biddle, a real estate investor and co-owner of Billy Penn Studios in Philadelphia. We dive into the evolving world of real estate, the future of indoor environments, and how air quality and solutions like Aethair are redefining spaces where people live and work. Hi, Toby.
Good morning.
Welcome to our podcast. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Thanks for coming today. So let's start first with telling us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Sure. So I'm a Philadelphia native, a third-generation real estate speculator, investor, real estate broker for many years. And I've been developing, rehabbing, reselling properties since the early 90s, late 80s. And most recently, I've taken on the project where we are sitting currently. It's a large industrial building that was repurposed into a commercial office building over a period of close to 10 years. So that's basically what brings us here today, is the fact that this building has been rehabilitated and it created the office space where we sit currently.
Awesome. So again, we are one of the tenants here. This is where Aethair actually is located, the headquarters in
Correct.
this building, the Billy Penn Studios.
So I need to say, initially, we didn't plan on a technology company in the building. When you approached us and came to us from your current location, we did the retrofit, and it was a perfect match between the location in your business, the design, and the outfit is just world class. And we often use your space as a sample to show prospective tenants what we're capable of and what the building is capable of.
So actually, the interesting thing is that before we became tenants, you guys were customers. And it was a little bit after the COVID, breakout. And so... and I believe at that time, you were the very first ones. Actually, I know that you were the very first ones in Philadelphia to have adapted to this whole new need that at that time was new. Now it has become almost a trend of indoor air quality monitoring in commercial spaces.
Yeah, it's important to understand that, the momentum of this project got its biggest boost when we closed on our commercial loan to allow us to complete the construction that had commenced through personal funding. And that funding occurred, and we were focused on not only getting the building completed, but also getting it filled, obviously, because they go hand in hand. What good is a completed office building that remains empty? And during COVID, it was a challenge to get tenants to come out of their homes and into an office setting like we've created here on Billy Penn Studios campus. And ironically, I think we closed on the loan literally around March or April of 2020 at the height of the epidemic. So the bank was concerned. I remember having a phone call with the chief lending officer of the bank, and he said, if we extend this loan to your company and you complete the project, who's to say you're going to be able to fill it? And, I had to explain to him my philosophy and my sales approach to getting new tenants in the building, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the key components was to do some air quality monitoring, which was a solution to making the new tenant base comfortable with coming out of their homes, reporting to work in an office setting as we have here, and conducting their business. So at that time, my partner and I went to your former location. We saw a sales presentation based on the capability of the platform, and we were intrigued, and we felt like it would differentiate our project from the masses of commercial office buildings within the Philadelphia market to help us promote the building and, more importantly, fill the spaces.
So actually, to that point, Toby, you, as you said, it was kind of necessity in order to differentiate, and to also provide some sort of hope that is going to help to fill up the building faster than perhaps other competitors at that time. Okay, so how has that worked out for you so far? A few years into this now, you have implemented the solution. You have advertised that this building offers real-time air quality monitoring. As a matter of fact, you even have QR codes around the building where people can scan and see, real time, what the exposure they have to the different environmental elements.
Yeah, it was then, and it is now a great solution to make the tenant base comfortable and be secure in the fact of knowing that their air quality is being constantly monitored within the confines of our building. So we continue to use it up till today to promote all of our platforms. So Billy Penn Studios is not just a regular office building. There's multiple platforms that we promote here. Besides offices, we have event spaces, as you know, for group gatherings. We have co-working spaces where it's a high density of people within a small area. And we also have beauty suites, which are also promoting, small businesses but there's a great density within a small footprint of space. A 10 by 12 room is in essence, the standard within the beauty suites. So there are 4 open and ongoing platforms within the building, all of which benefit from the Aethair solution.
So, which, as you said, is not a typical commercial real estate or a building of offices. So it has mixed functionality. How would you classify it in that sense? Because it's also a 250,000 square feet, right?
Currently, it's 170,000. We just acquired another 17,000, which we're beginning the reconstruction of currently. But again, with all the platforms, we use the Aethair solution on a daily basis to promote it to tenants, to the public as they come through the lobby space to maybe be a patron of the coffee shop, et cetera, et cetera.
Having said that, I'm confused typically when people talk about commercial real estate buildings. I'm sure some of our audience, is confused about the term. So in other words, when we're looking at Billy Penn Studios versus, let's say, a 28th floor, a building, a skyscraper, what is the difference from the business model behind those buildings and the typical owners behind those buildings?
Yeah, they vary greatly under the moniker of commercial real estate. You could have, a single office building, as we do here, with a partnership that's private. You could have a publicly traded REIT, real estate investment trust, that owns multiple parcels throughout the country or the world for that matter. And it could be anywhere from a shopping mall to an apartment building that's over 4 units is considered commercial, and so forth and so on. So the term commercial real estate encompasses a tremendous amount of different types of real estate and different models of ownership as well as operation.
So, and I believe there is some common elements among all businesses. So in other words, the smaller, typically they are more agile and they can make decisions much faster, because one of the things that we saw, you guys were very quick in making a decision and implement the solution in the building. Now other buildings, even here in Philadelphia, commercial real estate buildings, they have adapted to our platform. And some of them belong to publicly traded companies, as a matter of fact. So here's the ability to make this sort of fast decision help you in acquiring more tenants much faster. And what is the building capacity right now? I mean, are you guys full, or has this contributed, this solution, to increase your tenant space?
Underneath the umbrella, again, of commercial real estate, obviously, are office buildings, of which this is one. And again, back to our ownership, we're 4 partners. There's no board of directors, there's no trustees, there's no stockholders. And I do believe in this marketplace, when commercial office buildings are not doing well, frankly, and many of them are being converted to residential dwellings through apartment complexes, multifamily, et cetera. We enjoy a very high percent of occupancy. We're over 96, 97% as we sit here today. And I attribute that to our flexibility and our ability to not only design and create spaces, but also to make business decisions in a quick manner. Implementation of the solution was one of those decisions. And we continue to operate in that fashion today. We retrofit spaces on a daily basis. We utilize empty spaces for things like film shoots and filming. We currently have Netflix in the building and some other TV productions that are using the spaces temporarily while we wait to attain a long-term tenant. So all that flexibility and ability to move quickly has definitely benefited us.
So now, the one aspect, of course, of using a platform like ours, it's from a health and safety point of view, right? So you convey the message to your tenants that, look, from a health and safety point of view, this is a better option than anything else. Okay. Now, there is, though, the utility aspect of our solution also that we provide to owners, commercial real estate owners, which is how the building is utilized. Okay. So, we offer the reports, as you know, that we share with you and so on, alerts. So having said that, using that information, how has it helped you from, let's say, HVAC operations, or actually some of the more recent stuff, which was able to, well, you guys were able to detect people smoking and vaping. So can you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Not only does the solution offer the ability to tell you good versus bad air quality, but it's constant monitoring and it's eyes and ears for whatever sensors you install. So it could be temperature, obviously, is a standard sensor that's installed. And air quality, obviously, the different facets that make up air quality that you choose to install in your particular model. So on an ongoing daily basis, we will know the temperature in various corridors of the building, which we wouldn't be able to know without installing a separate sensor. And the fact that it's all tied together into one platform that's visible in real time allows us to make adjustments to different HVAC units, for example, to get, optimal temperature and energy efficiency out of the different HVAC units we have in the building. In addition, as you noted, we're able to note when people try to smoke or vape within their units and it seeps into the hallway, well, then we're instantly aware of where it's occurring so we can narrow it down to a specific space and put those people on alert that it's not allowed in the building in any sense at all, vaping, smoking, or otherwise. It is a historic building and there's a lot of wood and timbers in different parts of the building. So for that reason, smoking is strictly prohibited and even within the people's suites themselves. And we had one incident where we had an electrical malfunction that created a smoke event that you were able to tell us where it was before we knew it was. We knew we smelled smoke. We didn't know exactly where it was emanating from and what was causing it. And you chimed in and said, hey, guys, it's located at this portion of the building. Please go check that out. And lo and behold, it was inside a utility closet. And there was a short in a junction box that we were quickly able to resolve. So it not only save the air quality, but it could potentially save the building at the same time.
Actually, this building has been, we're fortunate to be here because it has become almost like a big test lab for us, right? Because, new features, new, add-ons that we add to our platform, we're actually testing it real time here in a huge space. So we're very fortunate actually for that. Now, switching a little bit gears here, Toby. One of the very big things these days, which has again been amplified because of COVID, is building certifications, such as well certifications, LEED certifications, and other ones, but specifically well, which focuses primarily on air quality. And one of the things that we have seen recently is that because of platforms like ours, companies now they kind of like steer away from paying these sort of heavy prices to have those certifications, because they say, look, I can implement the solution myself and I can get these daily reports rather than, you know, having a quarter or a yearly report from some consultant that, will tell me that the building is okay. Because again, things change. To your point, things can change every minute. So you need to have the alerts, you need to have the continuous data. So where do you stand when it comes to this type of certifications, and whether having them, advertising that you have those certifications, how will that change perhaps, your image, uh, or by saying to people directly that, look, you can see for yourself, here's the QR codes, you can see real time, whether that's actually much more important.
Yeah, I believe that one, first of all, foremost, that air quality is important, but the implementation of the Aethair solution within the building is paramount to a third-party certification. We have not only the sensors in the building, but we're fortunate enough to have the company itself in the building that is overseeing the operation of the entire system along with us in real time. So I don't think you can get any better than that. And paying a third party to come in to deliver, a snapshot of information at one period of time doesn't compare to real-time monitoring, active, ongoing, scientifically calibrated sensors like we have utilized here.
So, one of the kind of obstacles many times that people in our sector run into when they approach commercial real estate owners is that um, they're like, look, uh, air quality monitoring indoors is not something that is regulated. So why should I spend the money? Okay, now I'm sure you guys went through the same mental exercise as well, right? So what would you say to other commercial real estate owners that perhaps going through the same mental exercise and justification about having this, making this investment? So take us a little bit through that process.
Yeah, obviously I could promote it to ad nauseum, but you can't turn on the news, read the paper, read online, anything that's going on in even world events without hearing about events that are impacting air quality and how air quality monitoring is used everywhere from traffic control in New York City to the wildfire smoke that's descending south from our northern border. And so everybody and anybody, not only commercial real estate owners, but population in general in the United States should be aware of the fact that air quality is definitely something that needs to be kept on, and also the solution itself, since it expounds upon that within the confines of your offices. It's a no-brainer that it's something that should be necessary for your tenant base and utilized as not only just a sales technique, but also a real solution and a health and safety issue, as you've mentioned previously.
So you're seeing, commercial real estate becoming a big market for a platform like ours. In other words, you know, eh, using essentially the sort of um, lows right now of the real estate occupancy and, in the office space. Do you think that more and more commercial real estate companies will actually say, you know what, it's worth making that investment because, it's going to pay in the long term?
Sure, 100%. And the customization of your sensors, basically on how you create the product based on the need involved, makes it necessary for just about anybody. I mean, you see Airbnb operators have need for solution to see when people smoke and party within the confines of their spaces. There's the medical field, there's the education field, there's the mining field, industrial fields, and it goes on and on and on from there. But commercial real estate owners obviously are a group of people who could benefit just like those other groups of people, for sure.
So given today's financial conditions, or economical condition in U.S. and of course commercial real estate not doing that well. Um, what do you see the future moving forward for this sector? And again, primarily for your specific segment of this industry.
Yeah, I don't see big offices coming back at all based on the way we've learned how to work remotely. Um, and I believe that smaller, more adaptive spaces like we've created here will continue to be popular and create demand, or there'll be demand created for those spaces, which again increases occupancy, which again impacts air quality. So it makes the solution that much more important.
That's actually a very interesting point. So the whole idea of having these very concentrated office spaces, office space buildings, like typically in center cities, in different metropolitan areas, do you think that that idea would probably die out, and you're going to have a little bit of a smaller commercial real estate office spaces that, again, having these buildings of mixed use, like Billy Penn Studios, for instance?
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the future of commercial office space, based on the dynamic that we're, seeing currently in the market. And like I said, for in the near future, I don't foresee anything changing. I don't foresee bigger spaces becoming in vogue for anything other than maybe multi-office spaces that where you walk in and have a common receptionist, everybody has their small cubicle. But, when we were creating the layout and design for the building, we had a rectangular box, and we had to lay out within it where we saw the different partitions for the different offices going. And I can tell you now that we certainly have a greater number of tenants than we anticipated having because of the smaller spaces that we needed to create to satisfy market demand.
And again, I believe that this type of model, it creates even um, a more interesting workspace. And the reason is it kind of like combines a little bit of the we work idea, that in other words, that you bring people from different backgrounds, and as a result, you create a very interesting chemistry in the building. So in other words, you don't have the typical commercial real estate, buildings that, it's, lawyer offices, or, financial institutions. Here, you actually can have, in this type of settings, you can have people that they do anything from fashion design to technology like us to real estate and others, right? So I think creates a very interesting dynamics and a much more happy environment, work environment, where people interact from different sectors.
Yeah, we love that. And that the X factor with the building, besides all our adaptive nature related to spaces and the solution itself, is the vibe. It's something you can't really put your finger on because you create it through all the things that you do. But the result is, people want to be here and they tend to collaborate, which is something we really promote. And we've had people move from big office suites into the co-working space and also use the co-working space as an incubation space and move into a bigger space. So all that ability to adapt and change and move around and the tenant base combining forces at times when projects, et cetera, is just amazing. So back to taking the rectangular office building and trying to create spaces where you think they should go. We have to, when we adapt it and we put the different types of businesses in here, you have to also be considerate of the fact of what types of businesses will be coming. So you can't have a recording studio next to, a reading room or some meditation center. We had a masseuse, for example, that was in the beauty suites, and he said, well, it's too noisy. I advertise serene massages, and it's too much noise going on. So he adapted. We moved him into a bigger space. So it's constant maneuvering, but also under the guise that you're respecting everybody's needs and wishes. So with the expansion that I spoke of previously, we might dip our toe further into the quote unquote makerspace with some more artist type studios, to perpetuate the vibe of the building and keep the creative people and the creative juices flowing under the roof.
Awesome. Well, Toby, thank you so much for this insightful discussion. I actually learn things, and I see you very often, about, how this building operates, and I'm sure others will appreciate the information that you share with us today. So thank you again.
We're as thrilled to have Aethair here as you are to be here, and it continues to be a collaborative effort, and we look forward to a prosperous future together.
Thank you.
Thank you.